What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me. It is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. Brian here, Fixed Air Moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Hope you guys are doing well. Definitely coming off a lot this week. You know, Uranus squared Venus is definitely forced out a lot of things to figure out within the values we want, within our heart, within relationships, you know, money situations, all sorts of things. And, you know, as we look at the chart here, and dive in a little deeper, you know, we're in this dark moon phase. So we really are closing out this big cycle here. And I want to take a second because this new moon is going to be exactly trine Saturn in Capricorn, which is definitely like karmically, are we ready to get our life in order and get our heart in order and get the things we want? Do we have things figured out? Are things in order? I think that's the biggest thing. And like, did we figure out how to control our own life and our own soul and our own reality? Because the last time we had a new moon, trine Saturn, was actually this year. And it was May 22nd when Saturn was in Aquarius, trining the new moon in Gemini. And, you know, that was like really asking us, because Saturn had just went retrograde 10 days before that. And there was a lot of the retrogrades taking place in Capricorn. And, you know, the pandemic and things like that kind of slowed down. It was like, okay, you get a chance to figure things out, to figure out the connections in life, to figure out what we need to disconnect from, to figure out the environment that we want. It was a lot of air. It was an air trine. It was truly about making sense of the reality we want, making sense of the structures and the people that we want. And then now we get this new moon in Virgo, and it's trining Saturn in Capricorn, which Saturn's going to go direct on the 28th and the 29th, depending on where you are. And the last time we had a new moon trine Saturn was in 2011. So that's how long ago it's been. So this is powerful. This is truly like, did we get things in order? And we're closing out this cycle here on this dark moon phase of truly figuring out the last 5 months. And were we able to figure out where we want to go, figure out what needed to happen, figure out the people, figure out the places, the lives, the family, so much. And this trine's like, okay, did you figure it out? And are you going to step into the reality that makes the most sense, that's going to put you in the purest place? Because we're changing seasons here soon. When the sun comes into Libra, it's halfway through the astrological calendar. And it is starting the fall if you're on the above the equator. So, you know, this is going from mutable energy to cardinal energy. It's like we had to go through a lot of changes. We had a full moon on Neptune, you know. So we had to like dig deep and find out truly what felt right within us, within ourself, within our soul, and find that connection to reality and to, you know, our spirituality. And that's like the biggest thing is like, did we make the changes to do that, to take us to the next step, to put a reality into a place that makes sense for us, you know, for the time being? Because remember, everything that was really crazy at the beginning of this year was when all the planets were direct, and they're about to start popping direct again. So I just think that this just feels like a very karmic ending to this retrograde cycle, to where, you know, we truly had to figure out the reality we want. We had to figure out the health. We had to figure out our bodies. We had to figure out so much. And were you willing to make the changes? Were you willing to make the changes from the people in your life, even the relationships, the ones that connect on a deep level, that feel right in your life, that vibe? Or, you know, everything. So it's powerful. And today's like the last day of it, because we get this new moon at 4 in the morning Pacific time tomorrow. And, you know, it truly is this new cycle here as we close out a lot of the Leo energy that's been lingering, and truly step into figuring out the reality that we want, and to have control of ourselves and our reality. It's like we can't control anything but our soul and our own emotions. And Saturn's trying to teach you this. And if you didn't if you didn't learn, if you didn't learn the lesson, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but you're going to find out, I think, as the rest of this year progresses into some really hard transits that, if you're still trying to control people or force things into place, yeah, there's going to be some major blocks here. So today we got Mercury squaring. It's really going to press Jupiter and square into tomorrow. So this is like we had to figure, we figured out a lot of things, I think, about everything, but, this is coming into that new cycle where we're forced to take action for the reality we want in a big way. We have to communicate it. We have to find things that actually are balancing, and we can't weigh things out too much. This could feel like exactly what the biggest gift is in your life, but you might be too scared to pull the trigger and go for it. And I've been saying that a lot lately because it keeps coming up, but this is truly where you have to make a huge decision with Jupiter in your life to, figure things out, to communicate. And it has a lot to do with partnerships, especially with Libra and Venus coming off the square to Uranus. Partnerships, friends, people. If they're not bringing you harmony and they're not balancing your life in the right way, it's, they're going to be part of more strife and more shit that's coming. So it's definitely like, hey, if you want the ultimate reality, you got to be willing to make a big choice in your life for the structure and the reality of how you want to live. And today's closing out this cycle where you got to go for that. You got to go for what makes the most sense. Virgo wants to get things in order and clean things up. Like, did we take the last cycle between these new moon trine Saturns, which just seems extremely karmic to me, that we got two back to back? So yeah, and the moon is going to oppose Neptune before that. So talk about sensitivity, talk about not knowing if you are in the right place in reality, if you are not, if you're creating the reality you want, if your life's in order. Like, this can be extremely foggy. But if you're willing to listen to the signs, if you're willing to listen to the emotions and the intuition, it can be a powerful time. You just have to, find this balance here of like, making the reality the beautiful dream and not just escaping to another place, however that may look in someone's life. So it's definitely, it's not a hard day, but it's a big day. This is an important cycle that we're closing, and we're starting a new one, starting a whole new season coming up. And we got to be able to have the people in our life that support us. And more than that, we have to have control over our soul. And I think that's the biggest thing here, is the sovereignty, that we have to not be, it can't be foggy. We have to know to our core where our values are and where our heart is and what is going to make us happy, and restructure our life to fit that. Because if you give someone your power right now, it's over. I think that's what Saturn's trying to teach us, is take control over your soul, over your emotions, and stop looking outside of yourself for something to create the life that you want for you. And to truly, make the changes that are going to bring you the reality that makes sense. And it's going to be a weird transition. We got weird stuff coming up. And by the end of the week, Neptune's going to be in a 5-degree square to the nodes. And that's just going to press and press and press for the rest of this year, this calendar year. So this new moon's big. It's trying to we need to go towards the purity and have full control over our lives and our heart and our soul, and not control, try and control things outside of ourselves. We got to be sovereign. We got to be within ourselves, and we got to be willing to, speak up for our values. And that's like the gift here. Jupiter's like, hey, if you're willing to express what you want in life, you'll probably get it. But if you're not going to speak up, if you're just going to keep weighing things out and keep debating with yourself over if it's going to be the best in your life or not, it's hard. Mercury's coming up on a really hard stretch here. Squares to Jupiter, Pluto, Saturn. This is just the beginning to Jupiter, and Jupiter's probably the nicest of the three, of course. So, got to transform our mind into a more powerful state to where we're being more fair with ourselves, and we're creating the reality we want by visualizing the harmony that we want and speaking up for it and communicating it to people around us, to ourselves. Got to get things going here. So I would say that the most important thing about today is to visualize the reality you want, to visualize where you want to go, what you want to build, and to not let anything outside of you stop you from that. You know, maybe blocks will come up, but listen to the signs. Go with what actually makes your heart happy. And if it doesn't make your heart happy, you have to ask yourself the question and be willing to weigh out if it's true or not in your life. So it's a big day. I will show the chart real quick for the new moon, because it's quite impressive. Exact trine, boom. Quite impressive. And the Mercury is going to be exactly square Jupiter for this. So big decisions that need to be made to set the intention to go on a big new journey from the purity of our hearts to create the reality we want, to harvest the structure of our lives in a way that balances out, that brings us the ultimate love, that brings us the ultimate value. So today's a day to close out things that don't make sense and to set intentions for what you truly want and what's going to bring you the ultimate. And, you know, it's like we have to be responsible with where we put our energy and our love. You know, Saturn's saying you can have the life you want, but it's got to come from within, and you can't control anything but yourself. And I think there's a huge lesson there that Saturn's trying to teach. And it's almost like it's been a big theme with this retrograde, with the way that this happened twice this year. So a very interesting karmic aspect. The Eight of Pentacles. You know, we got to keep working towards the life we want. It's going to be so rewarding if you build the life that you want from the heart. If you go towards and work for the things that make the most sense, relationships that make the most sense, all the physical stuff. Like, we're trying to build the reality we want, and we got to put in the work every day, and we got to make sure that we're getting things in order and we have a system, and, you know, all that hard work is going to pay off. And it's like we have all the tools, we've had all the time to go back and figure out you know, what really made sense and what's going to give us the reality we want. But again, if we're not going to pull the trigger and make it happen, and we're just going to sit here and weigh things out in our head, but not actually make them manifest by speaking them into the universe, speaking them to people around us, you know, you might miss this door. So I don't want anybody to miss the door. I love you guys very much. I think there's a lot of positivity to be taken from this year, to be taken from what's coming, but it just, they're looking hard. You know, the sun in Libra is going to there's a lot going on when the sun moves into Libra, and, you know, I just think that, you know, it's the little things we do to find the control of ourselves, to find the sovereignty within ourselves, and to not look super far outside, or for politics to change your life, or for the TV to change your life, or for even a YouTube channel to change your life. You truly have to channel, you know, your guides and what spirit wants for you right now, and to get the reality in order in your personal life, you know. And I have to do this too. So, like, that's why I'm sitting here thinking about it. Like, I'm not immune to this. Like, I'm just like you guys. Like, sure, I look at it all the time and I channel it to you guys, but there's big things that I think we all have to take into account right now. We all have to make changes to start really putting our energy into what makes the most sense, and to put our energy into ourselves. I love you guys very much. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and I hope that you put the intention out for this new moon to have the ultimate reality in life, to have the ultimate relationships in life, friendships, connections, and to disconnect from all the things that, truly don't lift you up in life and raise your vibe. Because the things that lower your vibe right now are not it. So I hope you have a great day. See you tomorrow. Peace.